Karen.
Yes.
I've got a quick question for you.
I've got a quick answer.
I doubt it. When you hear the words breathwork,
Yes.
do you picture something like profound and transformational? Or do you picture a group of adults huffing like they're trying to blow up an air mattress before passing out?
Somewhere in between, actually.
Because apparently we've been doing it wrong.
Oh.
Like really wrong.
Really?
Yep. To the point that
How do you know how I do my breath work?
today's guest has built an entire life calling us out for it.
Oh.
His name is Kurtis Lee Thomas, and he claims he can help us detox our anxiety, our trauma, our emotional baggage, and probably whatever's been living rent-free in our heads since middle school using nothing but breathing.
That would be very helpful.
Absolutely. Now, before you roll your eyes, Karen, and yes, I saw that, this guy didn't just do the YouTube yoga guru thing. He's the guy that companies like NASA and Nike call when their people are breaking down.
Wow.
The guy that the Today Show puts on when America's stress levels are melting the grid. This is the guy who literally turned Take a Breath into a global mental health movement. So today, we're about to find out if Breathwork Detox is transformational healing or just really expensive hyperventilating. But either way, we're breathing through it together. So let's see what happens. Welcome to the Skeptic Metaphysicians. My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
both want to believe.
so we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something
Anything.
that will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
Welcome back to an oxygen-stealing, nervous system rewiring, trauma detoxifying episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians. Today, we welcome Kurtis Lee Thomas, the founder of the fast-rising modality Breathwork Detox, corporate mindfulness trainer, chair of the Just Breathe Foundation, and #1 international best-selling author of The World is Yours, The Secrets Behind the Secret, and How to Thrive in the Age of Anxiety. Kurtis has been featured on the Today Show, worked with giants like Nike and NASA, and guided thousands through a single-session transformation, releasing trauma, dissolving anxiety and emotional blocks, and tapping into deeper clarity, peace, and purpose. This isn't your casual sit and breathe segment. Kurtis is here to show us how to actually detox our mental wiring fast and rise into aligned, awakened living. Please welcome Kurtis Lee Thomas to the show. Kurtis, such a pleasure to have you here with us today.
All right. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I got to just let you and the entire audience know I am battling a bout of bronchitis. So if my voice sounds weird to you, you know what's happening. I didn't want you to think I was just like...
Well, maybe the breath work can help you.
I don't know if I could do anything about breath work right now. I try to do a deep breath and I'll be coughing for an hour or two. So,
You never know.
all right. So let's just get right down to it, Kurtis. How is it possible that just breathing can do all the magical things that I just talked about in the intro?
Yeah. First of all, I get it because I'm super skeptical Capricorn myself. And it's such an unassuming thing that we all do and we take for granted. And even when I had my big experience, which we can get into, and I healed a condition where I was suffering for 5 years. After I was healed, it took me 3 days to wrap my head around how the heck that was even possible. And it was just because I've done so many different things, modalities, Western medicine, Eastern medicine, plant medicine, you name it. And a breathing technique, a little silly, stupid breathing technique was so profound. It healed me. And it also did all these other things. I couldn't believe it. And, it's just the cosmic giggle that the kingdom of heaven is within us and we have all the answers inside of us. And yeah, man, it's true. It's wild. It is wild.
So how long did it take you to heal yourself? Are we talking just one day or like months or?
So 5 years I suffered from a stomach condition where doctors couldn't tell me what was wrong with me. They couldn't diagnose me, never mind heal me. Mm-hmm. And I did all these crazy tests, all these different modalities. And then I found this one ancient breathing technique that I was told, would do this and that and whatever. I was desperate. So when you're in desperation, you're willing to try new things.
Sure.
And one session eradicated my stomach condition.
One session?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I can explain why that is, which I didn't find out until after the fact, you know? So my issue was I had blocked energy in my stomach, right? Trapped energy, emotions. And a lot of people actually do carry emotions in their stomach and in their hips. That's where we gain weight, because we store emotions there. And on a subconscious level, when we're going through things, people gain weight there, but it's really to hide their vulnerability, right? Because we know that's where we store our emotions. So I had emotions that were stuck there. And this particular breathing technique completely opened up my diaphragm and was able to move that energy out. And once that did, like it increased my peristalsis inside my stomach, increased my gut motility, like everything became back online. And I felt like I was me again. And, you know, even like my IQ went up. I didn't realize, you know, how dumb I was during this. You know, I was like, I couldn't even put words together. You know, I was procrastinating. And there's a thing called a gut-brain connection.
Mm-hmm.
And the two are very much connected to one another. And when I was able to move that energy, and that's what it felt. The best way I can say is like, I'm back online.
All right. So this is not the best audience. Well, no, it is. Okay. So hot topic these days, at least for me and for my peers, is menopause. And we have all of these crazy physical side effects and emotional side effects because our estrogen, it's your hormones get depleted, but we store a lot of that in the fat in our hips. So is doing this technique something that could help with those symptoms or those side effects that people have?
Yeah, I'll say, first of all, I'm not a menopause expert. So we can agree.
No. Yeah. I'm just, you know, it just like triggered me. I'm like the hips.
But yes, because energy is energy.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter where it came from, what trauma it was. When we store energy in certain places, you know, it does a few things. One, it does wreak havoc on our nervous system, because if it stays there, then it starts to accumulate, then it starts to get compounded. And what I realize is that, you know, the soul always wants to be present and the mind always wants to think into the future, but the body holds on to the past. The body is a living library of all of our past experiences, which is why they say the body keeps score. So we'll accumulate these things until we're taught how to let them go. And that's the problem with, I guess, let's say our generation, is that we're taught so well to consume. But what about release, let go? And what I realized from writing my first book on manifesting and the laws of the universe and law of attraction is that the most powerful exercise for manifesting is actually letting go, because you have to let go before you let in. And we are spiritually constipated with all these things from past breakups, past situationships, you know, failures, you know, all these things when we haven't learned to process them, even things from childhood, when we didn't have the emotional intelligence to process getting pushed off the swing or not picked in dodgeball, you know, and then life comes and now we got, you know, businesses and bankruptcy and kids, and like it just keeps piling on. And you know, we'll hold on to that stuff if the mind doesn't know how to process it, and that's when it accumulates. Now it has nothing to do with weight, because sometimes the weight you need to lose isn't on your physical body. You know, you can't really, you know, feel it, but you do feel it when you release it and let go, because sometimes it's not the weight of the baggage, it's how you carry it. And the issue is, as men, we learn to carry it well because we need to be providers. We need to be entrepreneurs. We need to be masculine. And women learn to carry it well because they need to be mama bears. They need to take care of the kids. And a lot of women are doing that and still in jobs and still all doing all these things. So it's so much pressure to show up, where we don't really look in and see what is the stuff I'm holding on to and not letting go of, you know, until you release it. That's when you know you're carrying it.
So you're like a cosmic X-Lax, is what you're saying.
Wow.
That's a new one. I like that.
That's a t-shirt.
All right. So I'm hearing everything you're saying, and it sounds amazing. But Kurtis, I breathe all the time. I do it all the time.
I mean, not all the time. You got a little bit of sleep apnea.
Well, except for when I'm sleeping. But other than that, I sleep. I sleep. Freudian slip there. I breathe all the time, and my problems are still not going away. So,
You're not doing it right.
right. So this has got to be a specific type of breath work
Yeah.
that allows you to clear all this stuff. Like, what makes this different?
Well, you're right. And that's why nobody believes me when I say, try this technique. It's going to change your life. They're like, what do you mean? That's like saying, hey, come take a walk with me. This walk is going to be life changing.
Right.
It's so hard, but trying to describe what this particular technique can do is like trying to describe a kaleidoscope to a blind person, right? It's impossible. It's something that can only be experienced, not explained. So that's why people need to go through experience. Now, to answer your question, yeah, I get it. We've all been breathing all along. So when you tell someone to do something they're already doing, well, how is this thing I'm already doing going to change, my situation? It's the technique, right? It's how you do it, how long you do it. And I will say this. First of all, breathwork is an umbrella term, just like yoga.
Yeah.
Many forms of yoga, yin yoga, fire yoga, kundalini yoga. There's many forms of breathing and different techniques. Now, the one that I specialize in is deep diaphragmatic breathwork, which is breathwork detox, right? All about detoxing. And that is done through the mouth, in through the mouth, out through the mouth. Now, I will say this, 99.9% of the time, we should be breathing through our nose. We shouldn't be breathing through our mouth. However, you cannot achieve what we achieve by nose breathing. Look at the mouth as a energetic exodus portal where you release. That is the body's natural way to release. It's not through the nose. So if you pay attention to the body's, when the body, let's say, gets pent up with stress, emotion, pain, the body will go like this. It'll build, and then the pressure release valve is this. It's a sigh of relief. It's the body relieving itself of pent up stress. And it does it through the mouth. It doesn't do it through the nose. So when you kind of hack into that system and consciously do this exercise of mouth breathing deep into the diaphragm and releasing, you not just release pent up stress, but then as you keep going, you release stored stress and stored trauma and unresolved emotions. You start going down the layers, which is why, I don't know, I'd say about at least 50 to 60% of all the people who do this technique and go through this experience have cathartic releases and end up crying. And it doesn't matter who it is. I've done this for the most masculine men on the planet. War veterans, Navy SEALs, NFL athletes, you name it, prison inmates. And they all release, they all cry, they all purge in some way, shape, or form.
Wow. Is this, when you're going through this experience really with these people or with a client, is it something that they have to do for hours, or like, do you have to practice doing it? Is it difficult?
Yeah, so I like to warm up the diaphragm. Now, when people always ask me, like, how long are we going to do this for? And I always say, it's going to be over before you know it, because I don't want the conscious mind getting involved. But typically, it's around 28 minutes of the active breath work. So you're doing this technique for 28 minutes, and you're literally going through all different trance states, and you're going through this beautiful journey. And, after 28 minutes, then we go into rest, relaxation, and then we go into integration, and then we go into grounding. So it's an experience. 90 minutes are the events I do. I host them every new moon, every full moon. So exactly 2 weeks apart. And it's a 90-minute experience. And I spend the first 20 minutes of orientation, which is probably the most important. The technique's so simple, but if you don't understand what's going to happen in this process, you will sabotage your experience, because the body's going to start doing some things. You're going to be like, oh my God, is this normal? And, and I have to let them know that, hey, these are the things that's going to happen, just so it doesn't freak you out. People get, numbness and tingling and tetany and like all these things. And, once we remove those triggers, then they allow themselves to surrender to the experience and have a full on, session.
So this is not like Wim Hof, right? This is very different than the Wim Hof breathing method or whatever. Is there any danger of hyperventilating or causing yourself to do some damage?
Yeah, depending on how many blocks people have in their, diaphragm and in their respiratory system, they could make themselves hyperventilate. But with our technique, what we do is we make sure that they're breathing deep down into the belly first before breathing into the chest. And what that does is it offsets the stress trigger that would cause the hyperventilation. So when you're actually breathing deep down into the belly, into the chest, you're stimulating that vagus nerve, which will calm you. Even though the purpose of this isn't to do it in parasympathetic, we're actually going into the sympathetic nervous system because that's where all the stored stresses, the traumas and whatnot. And we want to go into that sympathetic nervous system, clear all the junk out. And then once we exhaust that sympathetic nervous system, the body goes right into parasympathetic, and why people feel so calm and rested and at peace.
Okay. Now, I know that you've done ayahuasca trips and things like that. So the types of questions I'm about to ask you probably aren't going to throw you. Most of the people who listen to our show already know what kind of questions I'm going to be asking. We tried a type of breath work a while back. We had them on the show. Karen did it with them, and she had an incredible experience to the point where she actually saw herself above her body. This type of breath work, on top of detoxing physical ailments and things like and emotional ailments, is this possible to use for some sort of spiritual awakening? Also, is it really specifically for healing as a healing modality?
Yeah. I mean, I've been lucky enough to hear so many stories. I've done this for tens of thousands of people in over 27 countries, and virtual really allowed us to blow that up. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you the amount of stories that I've heard of spiritual awakenings and Kundalini awakenings. And, and when I do physical events, I can see the people having Kundalini experiences, right? Their heads will go up like this, and it's moving energy in their spine. They start making these like weird movements, and they're Kundalini movements. It's the body, the Kundalini energy moving the body in these certain moments, in these certain movements, to move out blockages. And, some people become who aren't even spiritual at all. That's like, I've done this for engineers, rocket scientists, and then you see their Kundalini going, they're like, what is going on? They're like, I don't know what it is, but I like it. So, and then all of a sudden, someone who's completely closed off from that spiritual world, they become, clairsentient, clairaudient, clairvoyant, claircognizant. And they're getting messages that's coming in. They're having visions, and they're not those type of people. And it makes them become believers. Sometimes it triggers their own spiritual awakening. And what I love is just triggering their curiosity to go down a rabbit hole. I don't care which one it is. Just go down some, because it's going to lead you to some more. Sure. So yeah, the answer is yes, man. I've seen some what people would call miracles. I stopped calling them miracles because I've seen so many like instantaneous healings and some pretty cool stories around that too.
Okay, so I got to press you on those stories. What kind of results have you seen? Like, what's the thing that has happened that has blown your mind the most?
That takes a lot, but I will say one that there's one that I was like, whoa, that I'm gonna remember that one forever. So there was this couple that came to an event. I was in Rhode Island, and one person, this is typical, dragged the other friend there. Mm-hmm. Now they're both going through things, but they're not communicating. And one of the girls actually got diagnosed with cancer, some sort of tumor, cancerous tumor. Mm-hmm. And she didn't tell a soul. And she was keeping it in because she didn't want people to feel sorry for her. So she just was going through the journey by herself. And her friend, who was also in the breath work, when they're doing the active breath work, all of a sudden her friend, a guy, visits her. Now, mind you, she's not clairvoyant or any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. She sees a male figure, and she's like, who the heck are you? Like, this is a telepathic communication. And she's saying, this is my daughter, and she is struggling with cancer, and she's not telling anybody. And the girl's like, oh my God, like, is this real? Is this happening? And then she's like, and he's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, you can hear me? He's like, yeah. He's like, oh my God. She's like, but don't worry. She's going to be okay. Just watch and you'll see. And then he went away. So anyways, the other girl's sitting there, and her message is, I need to tell someone about this. I can't go through this alone anymore. So anyways, they come out of the session and they're both like, I got to tell you something. And the other one's like, no, I got to tell you something. No, I got to tell you something. And they're going back and forth like, okay. And one girl's like, I have cancer. And the other girl's like, yeah, I know. She's like, no, you don't. I didn't tell no one. What are you talking about? She's like, no, I know. She's like, some guy just came to me and said that it was your father. And he told me that you have cancer. And she's like, what? She starts breaking down crying. She's like, my dad passed away, whatever, a couple months ago and blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, but it's okay. He said that you're going to be fine. Just watch and see. So anyways, they're just going back and forth and they hugging each other. Anyways, the girl goes back home that night. And I don't know how this happened, but her tumor ended up in the toilet and she healed and no longer has cancer or any.
Get out of here.
Yeah. That story was probably the one that I was like, because there's so many parts to it. And I think that's one of my favorite.
Wow. Gosh, so many different directions to go into. You got a question?
I do. So
I'm hogging a conversation here.
You are. So you have, someone will go and like the thing in Rhode Island, they have this experience with you. After that, when they go home, is it safe to practice this on your own, or do you need someone there to help guide you through the experience?
I'll say this with breath work. We're just breathing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was saying.
It's just breathing. Yeah, it is just breathing. No one's died from breathing, but there's been a lot of people who have died from not breathing.
That's true.
All of them.
In fact, I would say everyone who died is not breathing.
Yeah, exactly. Now there's people who have who should be more cautious, if you just had a heart attack or heart surgery or epilepsy and things like that can trigger episodes. That's the only thing. But I've done this to so many people and I've seen it happen very little to none. I've seen some things, but people who really know their medical history and know that they have, it could trigger a bright light can trigger it, So there's things like that you always have to be cautious of. But at the end of the day, we are just breathing. So can people do it at home? Yeah, absolutely. Because this isn't like magic mushrooms or, DMT or things like that, where you take those and you're on that journey and you're not getting off that journey until it says it's done. Right. With this technique is you're in control. Mm-hmm. You can speed up your rocket ship and go out as far into the cosmos and out of your body as you want, or you can breathe low and slow and kind of keep everything contained. But when people do sessions with me, I push them a little past their comfort zone. Because it's past their comfort zone is where all the magic is. Definitely. That's where the breakthrough is. Because I say, hey, listen, if you want to have a breakthrough, you got to break through. Mm-hmm. You got to push through your comfort zone into that other side. And on the other side of fear is the answers you've been seeking.
It's not an ease through. It's a breakthrough.
Yeah. That was clever.
Well, thank you.
So how did you come to discover this?
So it's when I was going through, all those things with my stomach, and it was actually through. It's interesting because I was in Tibet and I was in Egypt and all these cool places, and I remember traveling up 3 hours up this mountain and talking to monks in caves and whatnot. And when I went back to California, it was actually my massage therapist who told me about breathwork. I'm like, man, I've been all over the world searching for gurus and Los Angeles, and she put me on, and that's when I had my first session.
Now you've taken this detox, but this breathing technique, and you have applied. Because I know that you are a Reiki master. I know that you have done all kinds of journeys. I know that you bring in biochemical science, a lot of things to create this technique that you do. How long did it take you to put it together, first of all? And then what gave you the motivation to bring it all together into a technique that you know now is Breathwork Detox?
Yeah, I felt like it was already being mapped out for me. I just didn't know, because it started in 2011, and that's when I started really collecting the data of becoming a certified life coach, hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, Reiki master, sports science fitness professional, literally collecting these pieces of paper. And it wasn't until I found breathwork where I was like, oh my God, it was like eureka. I realized, I was like, wow, this is the only vehicle that can house all of my other experiences, skill sets, and certifications into one streamlined modality where I was able to synthesize all these other things into something that was so simple and so yet so profound. Where I could take all this, like, some of that stuff's a little woo woo, some of it's a little taboo, and go into companies like Nike and NASA and be like, hey, we're just breathing. But really, it's like this concoction of like spirituality and a Trojan horse. And that's why I love what I do. And, I just put everything into Breathwork Detox. And I'm like, I feel like this is going to be the most easy to translate, meaning like not translate into fact of like this breathing is going to change your life because it's hard, but it'd be the easiest to get somebody to try it because it's something they've already been doing. If that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So places like NASA and Nike and the Today Show, all these kinds of things, these aren't really spiritual retreats, right? These are Fortune 500 companies. These are organizations that
as mainstream as you get.
The mainstream scientific, right? It's what happened inside them that made you reach out to you and say, okay, Kurtis, what do you got?
Yeah. So the Nike one, there was actually a lady in one of my teacher trainings. So at one point I decided to stop doing one-on-ones and just switch to virtual, and then started training teachers in the Breathwork Detox modality so they can create careers out of it or just learn it and bring it to their community. And I was doing a teacher training retreat, and there was a lady in there who came up after the retreat was over, and she's like, hey, I would really love for you to come in my company and bring this to my employees. She's like, we have a pretty big company. I was like, okay, yeah, cool. I'd love to. What's your company? She's like, Nike. I was like, oh, I think I heard of them.
I was like, Kurtis, just do it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we made it happen. And, the first event was like, close to 500 people. And it was one of their most successful mindfulness events. We did a case study. We published a case study in both Bloomberg and Business Insider. And then once that got out, it was really easy to get all the other ones.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So I'm curious. Obviously, I can't do anything because if I breathe too hard, I'm going to have a coughing fit for an hour and a half. But is this something that you could show, like give you an idea of what that breathing technique would feel like or look like?
Yeah. So it's based off, let's say, the sigh, like we showed earlier, right? That energetic exodus, But if I was to show you the technique, it would be a 3-part breath, two breaths in, 1 breath out. So what I do is I have people lie down on their back, and they have put one hand on their belly and the other hand on their chest. These are the 2 areas that they're going to be breathing into. The first breath, right now, here's the thing. You want your mouth open wider than what feels comfortable. So I say, hey, take your 2 knuckles, right? Put them in your mouth. This is not COVID friendly. You could put them in your mouth. All right. And then you let go. And that's how wide you want it, right? You don't want to be doing it like this. That's like you want that, because that's going to make the perfect airway for the amount of kind of CO2 and oxygen going in and out. So you do your first breath about 80% in the belly, right? So you can't see me right now, but if I go, that all went into my belly. I already felt the energy move. And then now I fill it up 20% in my chest. Now I'm completely filled. And then the third step is you let it go. Now, you don't hold on to it. You don't want to hold on to anything. And I tell people, when they release that breath, release something else along with it that doesn't serve you. And, you master the technique, because even like the exhale, I'll see people like holding on to it or pushing it out. And I'm like, hey, just think of it as a bow and arrow, right? You take that arrow and the bow, right? And let's just say you go, and when it's time to shoot that arrow, do you push the arrow out?
No, let it go.
Exactly. If you pulled it back enough, all you got to do is, so the exhale is a release.
So you're not pushing it out.
You're not pushing it out. And then as soon as you hit to the bottom of that release, you immediately go into the next inhale. There's no rest, there's no pause, there's no hesitation in between the breaths. And then what you're doing is you're flooding the body with oxygen, with energy, with life force, God energy, which is the breath, right? And you're building up for a big release towards the end. And I just walk them through that entire experience.
Gotcha.
Wow.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
It reminds me of when you're like sobbing, right? You're crying so hard, you like it. Your body automatically does that. It makes sense. It sounds like our body has its own intelligence that knows before we
just need to listen to it.
We do need to listen to it. Right? Wow. So then you do that for an extended period of time, which then sends you on the trip. It's pretty easy to say that if everyone did this on a regular basis, the world would be a much better place. Right? So then why aren't people aware of it or doing it more than they are?
That's what I was saying.
Well, that's what he's here for.
No, listen,
that awareness.
Listen, this is the part that blew me away. It's like one of those situations, like when you have a good idea and you're like, oh, this idea is so good. Like somebody had to have come up with it before, right? And then you don't do anything about it. And then 5 years later, you see someone else come up with it and you're like, what? No one did come up with the idea. And, but this has been around before spirituality, this breath, this is very, very ancient. So I couldn't understand, like, who else knows this exists? And as I started to talk to people, mind you, I'm in Los Angeles, and I started, everyone's a yoga teacher. So, I talk to yogis and they're like, I'm like, hey, I want you to try this breathing technique with me that I found. And they're like, oh, I've been doing pranayama for 20 years. And I've tried, I studied in Rishikesh with this guru and this. And then, I've got so many other people. I was like, just try it. And then I show them and they're like, oh my God, I didn't even know that existed. Holy crap. And then I just kept doing so many until the yoga teacher started saying, hey, can you teach me this? Can you train me in this? So that's when I started teacher training. And then I had a really interesting experience. We had a cool breath work at this guy's house. I don't know. It was like Robert Downey Jr.'s house. It wasn't he wasn't there, but it was his house. And
I mean, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, it was in the hills. It was really, really cool. And there was a gentleman there by Dr. Jack Feldman, who is a neuroscientist specializing in breath work. And he's there. He's an older gentleman, and he's been on the Huberman podcast. He's like an OG when it comes to this. And, the guy who was putting it on, he was considering investing in the company. And he brought Dr. Jack to kind of vet me out and be the skeptic, So I'm like, oh, great, Dr. Feldman's here, Like, he's going to tear me apart,
No pressure.
So anyways, he goes through the experience. He's got a real, like, kind of stone cold look. He's a very serious fella. And he walks up to me afterwards and he was like, holy cow. He's like, that was amazing. Wow. He goes, I need to learn everything about this. Can we grab lunch? And da-da-da. So we became really cool. And, he's been sending me white papers and all these studies. And he actually, I took him to NASA with me. So he was in the NASA event with me, and he ran the board for all the scientists that could do Q&As afterwards. And we, through him, we brought Dr. Helen Levetsky, who's the top psychiatrist over at UCLA. And, it was great. We actually have him on in our community. We do these events. He'll be on in about 2 weeks sharing some new discoveries. So yeah, man, it's pretty wild that people really don't know about it. And, Dr. Jack, he's the guy who discovered the mechanism in the brain that controls our breathing. Like it's wild. So, I don't feel like I didn't invent this first and foremost. That's for sure. Let's get that straight. However, there's a group of us who are reintroducing this natural, organic, very potent technique back into society, humanity. And I think that's what's happening right now.
All right.
Wow.
So you mentioned doing this breathing, this sequence, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You mentioned that your events or the time that you're breathing is for about give or take a little bit of under a half hour. I would think without a break in between, like you mentioned, I mean, I might have a hard time with that. So is this, I know you mentioned people who had heart attacks or things like that, maybe not the best for, but do you need to work your way into this, or can you just jump in with both feet?
Yeah. First of all, I'd say this tech, like I like warming up the diaphragm. It's really, it's not, you're not running a marathon. You know, this has nothing to do with physical fitness.
Yeah, it might be more
Physical
mental though,
endurance.
because like,
Yeah, it's a mental thing. It's all about kind of spiritual willpower, mental toughness, because the triggers in the brain, all the red alarms start going, whir, whir, whir. You're going out your comfort zone. The body's like, what's going on? And like,
right,
this
right.
is why I spend 20 minutes in the beginning saying, hey, these are the things that's going to come up. You know, you're going to feel these things, and, you know, they happen. Like I remember saying to one person, I was like, hey, I say to everybody, you know, you're going to feel tingling, and, you know, it could feel like this, it could feel like that. And there was this one gentleman, super cool dude. Actually, we became friends afterwards. He was, he's in Zendaya's father, and he was also our manager. And he went to all my breathwork events, and, you know, super committed. And, you know, he's like this 6'5" black dude with dreads, you know, and a really serious face. And, you know, he was in the back and he was doing it. And, you know, I used to say, I seen it all, and, you know, you never see it all. And I remember seeing him in the back, and he was like going under his yoga mat, and he kept putting his fingers and sliding them up and down his yoga mat, and he kept doing it. I'm like, what? I never seen anyone do that. Like, what is he doing? It wasn't
Kundalini's
until
doing weird things for him.
yeah, like it wasn't until a year later he's like, hey, remember that first breath work that we did? I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I remember exactly what. And he was like, man, you were saying this was going to happen and I was going to feel this. And I'm like, man, that's baloney. That's not going to happen to me. And he goes, and all of a sudden my body started vibrating so much that I thought my yoga mat was plugged in. He was searching for the cord to the yoga mat because he thought his yoga mat was vibrating, but it was.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the power of like what this could do.
Wow.
Yeah, I wonder what would happen to me.
Yeah, I can only imagine. We're gonna have to try it out.
Yeah.
Levitation.
Yeah. So, you obviously guide people through this experience, right? You mentioned you're doing it every 2 weeks, but you also talked about the fact that you teach people how to do this. So, what does that look like? How long does it take? How much commitment is there? If I wanted to become a practitioner, for example.
Yeah, so we certify people 2 ways. They can do virtual, right? They can do virtual on demand, or they can do live in person. So typically, if they go virtually, you know, they can get certified anywhere between 2 weeks and a month. And then we have a fully immersive crash course retreat where it's 3 full days, right? Super early Friday morning all the way to late Sunday night. And we'll go sometimes to like 1 a.m. It's like a real intensive, but they get hands-on experience and they get to see things in real time. And we give them everything that they need in those 3 days. And I do those every 3 months or every 4 months about. And in 3 days, they can get certified in breathwork. So they have the intensive and then we have the virtual. So let's just say 3 days to 30 days is the average.
Wow. And then the breathwork sessions that you lead, are those virtual or are those in person?
Those are virtual. Some of them I do in person, but that's really rare. I do the virtual just because, you know, we got people from all over, all different countries. And I just love going on there and seeing like Zimbabwe and like, I'm like, whoa, like welcome, you know,
Right.
it's so cool.
Well, that does sound cool.
Do you do personal one-on-one sessions?
I don't, but I do have like hundreds of teachers who do offer them in different states. So people go on our website and they'll say, hey, I'm in Connecticut. You know, we're like, yeah, we got 6 facilitators out there. Here, you can reach out to them.
Oh, great.
They'll do one-on-ones.
Wow, that sounds awesome. So if someone wanted to participate or become a certified trainer or anything like that, or learn more about it, what's the best way for someone to reach out to you?
So if they go to breathworkdetox.com, so just type in breathworkdetox.com and you'll see you'll see a video that kind of explains what I do. And then you'll see like a little program suite where you can click, okay, I'm interested in a virtual event. I want to become a teacher, or I want to do corporate, or, you know, whatever it is. And for the teachers, we We offer a free masterclass. We offer free clarity calls, consultation calls. And, we try to give as many resources as we possibly can for people who are considering, and, they might not even want to be a teacher. We have people come in who's like, I don't even know if I want to teach this, but I just feel like I need to learn this.
Mm-hmm.
And then they learn it and they're like, okay, now I'm teaching it. I'm creating a business. And,
Right.
so we don't, we love to know the intentions, but we also know after you go through our training, you're going to come out a different person.
Wow. That sounds perfect.
Yeah, it does. Sounds amazing. So is this something that can help everything, or are there things that this just doesn't touch?
I won't say there's things that it won't touch. I won't say it does everything. I will say the breath is very intelligent. The body is very intelligent. It's going to give you what you need in that moment, at that time, whether you realize it or not. And that's why it's so powerful.
Does it work for somebody who is more, say someone drags their friend, the one person's a believer, the one person's not. Is it going to have the same effect for both people? Or do you have to really be bought into it in order for it to work?
Oh, no, I love the skeptics. Those are my favorite.
Okay.
They're like, oh yeah, let's do this stupid little thing. And then they come in, whoa, like I was expecting that. Like, I don't know. There's some weird feeling I get when skeptics go through and then they just blows their mind because I was that person, and I think when I meet those people too, I'm like, yeah, you just watch, just wait, there's resistant people that no matter what, they're going to sabotage their own healings, and that's, they're not ready, and that's okay. They'll get there at their own time. But I will say, kind of, I want to touch back on your other question, is that I think we're moving into a time where the world and even science and the medical industry is realizing that a lot of our issues stem from emotional things that happened to us in the past. Like even if you look at stress, right? Harvard came out with a study and they said that 80% of all doctor's visits are stress related. So if you just think about that number, wow. 80% of all doctor's visits are stress related. So think about all the issues that, then what happens? They come in, they have this symptom, they're given this pill, and then that pill maybe fixes that, but gives you 8 other symptoms. And now they have to take a pill to fix that. And then they just go down this, we won't even go there. You guys understand how that works.
Oh yeah. Guilty.
Mm-hmm. We've all done it. And, and if we can, to me, that's like mowing the lawn, right? You can mow the lawn and wow, my lawn looks great. Right. And then, it's like 6 days later, you got weeds popping out all over the place. Mm-hmm. And then you got to mow it again. I feel like this work is like ripping out the weeds from the root. Wow. So they don't grow back, because that's where it's coming from. Right. We got to get, well, how did this manifest? And things do manifest in the spiritual world. Mm-hmm. First, they manifest energetically first, and then it turns into physical issues. And our goal is to try to catch it before it manifests into X, Y, and Z.
Sure.
So I think we're moving into a place. So I'm not that guy who is like all Eastern medicine and all alternate medicine and whatever modalities. If I got a broken limb or a tooth, that we needs a cavity, give me the Novocaine, give me the painkillers. I think it's the merging of the two worlds, the merging of the East and the West. I think that's where we're going to find the most growth. And, the funny thing about alternate, air quotes, in case they can't see me, alternate therapies is that mainstream society convinced us that things like breathwork are alternate medicines or modalities, when the truth is, they're humanity's original medicine. Yeah. And everything else that came after that, those are the alternatives.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you bring up an interesting point. You do this breathwork modality for, I've got an issue with my stomach, and it goes away on the very first time that you do this. So then I don't need to do it anymore, right? Or do you now focus it on other things? I mean, I know you don't do it. The breath is intelligent. So, but you recommend this become a lifestyle, right? Or is it just like a quick fix?
Like a maintenance? Do you do like a maintenance breath work?
Yeah, I'm glad you guys brought this up, because I was going to make a point to make sure that I said this. This modality, you don't need to do this every day. That's
thank
how
God.
powerful it is. Yeah. You don't need to do it every day. I mean, when I first found it, when I discovered it, I did it every single day for close to 10 months straight.
Wow.
Full sessions. But that was also my own initiation into being able to go out there and teach this. And, I studied from all different people and I already had knowledge of it, but I did every single day, almost 10 months in a row. But not you, but anybody, they don't have to do this every single day. Like what I recommend is, do a deep session. There's a reason why we do them every 2 weeks. We do a deep session every 2 weeks, but then we also have something called the Breakfast Club.
That's clever.
And we do it every morning, 7 days a week, 6 a.m. every single day. I have a different facilitator every morning of each day who brings people through these sessions, but they're micro sessions, only 8 to 10 minutes long.
That's right up my alley.
So how do you join the Breakfast Club?
Yeah, so it's part of our membership. So when people become members, they get access to all my virtual events. They get access to the Breakfast Club. They get access to recordings.
It sounds so funny. It sounds like you're Mike Tyson.
It's the Breakfast Club.
So let's just clarify, 6 a.m. Pacific time, right?
Yep. So that's 9 a.m. Eastern time.
Hey.
Much better.
I like that.
Much better for me that time. So, yeah. All right. Just wanted to clarify that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I love the. Yeah. I love the breakfast.
Breakfast.
Yeah. I can't do it. I can't do it. I get too much in my head. So, all right. Awesome. Is there anything that we haven't talked about? You want to make sure that the people who are listening or watching this really truly get from this conversation?
I mean, I would say, I don't know. I set an intention when I decided to do this podcast circuit. And my intention was not to convert people into my breatheism religion, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, what do I really want from this? Mm-hmm. And a successful podcast for me is if anywhere in the podcast, it doesn't matter if Karen said it, you said it, I said it, they got curious. Mm-hmm. If we were able to spark their curiosity so much where they felt like they had to know more about it and they open their phone or their computer and they start to search, or they go on Breathwork Detox, or maybe they go on YouTube or ChatGPT, whatever. If we spark that curiosity to have them go down some rabbit hole about breathwork, it's ultimately going to lead them to some form of conscious breathing. Any form of conscious breathing is going to be beneficial for your life. So we won. That's my intention for this podcast.
Well, I will.
That's great.
Easily, happily, unhesitatingly say that you have won, because I'm incredibly curious, and I got your website pulled up already on my laptop here, and I'm going to do a deeper dive into it because that sounds really interesting.
I have one question that just popped into my head, and it's going to sound like a joke, but it's totally legit.
Oh boy!
So we're walking into cold and flu season. If you have like a mad stuffed up nose, you can still do this, right? Because it's through your mouth? Or
bronchitis. No, bronchitis. Yeah, I would coughing fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would actually help clear out the lungs, all the stuff in there, because you want to get that stuff out. But I'd say people, if your nose is stuffy, it's mouth breathing.
Yes,
so you can
I like that.
right.
And it'll probably help you feel better. Right? It'll help clear up the cold.
It'll feel just like I'm sleeping.
Or like you're standing in the grocery store.
Yeah, and it does strengthen your immune system as well. So there's tons of benefits that we didn't get into. I'll just share one of them of why I do it every single day. The emotional healing was the deepest one for me that triggered everything where I'm like, wow, this stuff works. But there's something that it gives me and other people every single day, and that's clarity. There is a profound amount of clarity that comes through during breath work. And this is because the prefrontal cortex of the brain begins to quiet down. And that's the part of the brain that is the executive decision maker. It's let's call it the ego, the monkey mind, the critic, the inner saboteur. It says, this is good, this is bad. I'm me, you're you. And when you quiet that part down, all of a sudden the brain goes into transient hypofrontality, which is another word for flow state. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you see all the parts of your life that are already there. And it's like the blindfold's ripped off and you're able to connect the dots, and the level of creativity, the level of clarity that you get it's priceless to me because I've been confused before. I've been in places where I felt like I was in the dark. I didn't know which step to take, whether it is to get into that relationship or to, to take that position or whatever it may be. Or just simply not even knowing your own purpose, right? What is my mission? What is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? Why am I here? Confusion is temporary insanity. I do not like being confused. And that made me value clarity so much more. And when you have that clear path, it's just like, oh man, that's where actually energy comes from. That's where motivation comes from. The moment you get clear, you get a burst of energy and motivation that allows you to take that next step in your life with just more vigor and life force.
Wow.
So I urge everyone, we're going to add a link in our show notes to your website so that they can find you easily. Go to skepticmetaphysician.com. You'll see his episode. And in the episode, you'll see the link laid in there so that it's easy for you to access it. Do go to his website and check out the video I did before we started this interview. He talks about the 4 people that this most benefits. We didn't even get into it on this conversation, but it's definitely beneficial for you to go and check that out. At the end of the day, this is really good for everybody, but specifically 4 types of people, it's really good for.
Ooh, that's like a cliffhanger.
Now
you have to go to the website to find out.
Yeah, it's almost like I do this for a living or something. All right, Kurtis.
Are you one of the 4?
This has been awesome. It's been a great conversation. Loved meeting you. Thank you for bringing this to our attention and to the attention of our audience. I know you'll see me, maybe not at the Breath Fest Club, but you might see me at one of the other sessions just because I'm really curious about it and really want to dive into it. So thank you so much for taking the time and coming and chatting with us about it.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you.
Okay, well, that does it for this episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians. Thanks for coming along on this journey beyond the veil. If you're enjoying the ride, don't forget to visit us at skepticmetaphysician.com to dive even deeper into the world of metaphysics and spiritual awakenings. Follow us also on your favorite social media platforms. We're always sharing mind-expanding content and behind-the-scenes fun. And if you're craving connection with like-minded seekers, join our community. The link is on the show notes. And hey, if you're feeling the vibes, help others find us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It makes a huge difference, and we would be so grateful. Until next time, keep questioning, keep seeking, but most of all, keep your mind open.